Morning, everybody. This is Jay Guerin with the Omaha CIO Forum, installment number 2 of the Omaha CIO Forum, my Rolodex. Today I have with me Scott Thompson. Scott and I have worked together a couple times. Scott has been around Omaha for a good long time, has a lot of history, knows a lot of folks, and a lot of you folks probably know Scott. What's interesting is yesterday at the CIO Forum golf outing, we had several panelists, and the topic of AI was fairly widespread. Everybody had something to say about that. And I remembered a discussion I had with Scott, and where he talked about AI has been evolving for a very long time, along the lengths of 10, 15 years. Scott has a very aggressive slash exciting history with IndyCar racing and NASCAR racing too, I think,
A little.
where a lot of AI started conceptually. So, Scott, if you would say hello to everybody, remind everybody who you are and everything, and let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Scott Thompson. I have a company called Nebraska Technology Solutions and another company called strategicknowledge.com. I started working in AI 40 years ago, so a little time ago. And at the time, I was an engineer at Allison Transmission, which was part of General Motors. And I worked in the research and development area, and we worked with various companies out of the Stanford University area, Palo Alto, Mountain View, worked with companies called IntelliCorp, and we developed AI-based systems that were used in manufacturing. We used it for scheduling and also for design systems. And it also led me to get involved with IndyCar racing because I was uh, working at Allison Transmission 6 blocks away from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And I'd go over there after work when they were practicing, and I talked to this one team, and they had a sponsor by the name of Symbolics. And Symbolics was a workstation provider for AI for list processing. And I asked the team, what are you doing with your Symbolics sponsor there? And the engineer, Grant Newberry, said, we don't know anything about this. Well, he was a little more explicit about that. And I said, well, I could help you out. And from there, I got involved with helping to design an expert system for race strategy for the Indy 500 that I helped support for about 10 years from like 96 to or 86 to 96, and worked with a lot of the IndyCar teams, worked with ESPN, Hendrick Motorsports, and IMSA. So at the time,
You were
AI had it.
you were
Go
kind
ahead.
of you created the basic computerized system to calculate fuel mileage and when they needed to come in and pit, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, one of the initial ones. And back at that time, the technology was pretty basic. Laptops were not that powerful, but we did have a lot of intelligence analytics built into the systems to try to help with the Indy 500 racing strategy. And they're still using that type of technology. It's grown quite a bit, but there's still a lot of AI based systems that are being used by different racing teams and Formula One teams too.
Hmm.
So
I
at the time,
remember.
AI
Oh,
had a great big bubble to it. It was a big wave. It was going to take over the world. 40 years ago. Unfortunately, the computing power was not sufficient to really do what was needed to do properly. The Symbolics workstation was about $100,000, 40 years ago, so it was quite a bit more than what you would pay today. So it really wasn't too practical to put that type of equipment on a factory floor or use it in the pits. But times evolved. Right now, I see a lot of great potential with AI. The keys to it that I see is you got to make sure your data is cleaned, and you have to test the outcome of parameters. You have to be very specific on what you're looking for. But having great data that's formulated properly for your AI systems and doing the testing on the back end and knowing what to expect. Because the basis of a lot of it's using a random generator to come up with a number and go down a different path. And if you don't have good data, it's going to take you into errors here and there.
I'm gonna have you name drop for just a second because the list of racing teams that you worked with and for is pretty impressive.
Well, I started at the very top of the field, so that's not the typical career move, but I started out with the 1986 winning team, Bobby Ray Hall as a driver. It was True Sports. And from there, I worked my way down. And the last race I worked with them, I won't name him, but it wasn't quite as good. But I had the opportunity to work with Penske Racing, Chip Ganassi Racing, Rick Hendrick, uh, worked with ESPN, so a few of those guys. And like I say, it was at one time, I think I had, 10 cars in the Indy 500 using my systems for one race. So it was kind of fun.
That's nice. And you wrote a book about that, didn't you? I know I have a copy of it.
Yeah, it's out on Amazon. It basically, I was going to grad school at Purdue, and it was an independent study that I created the paper for. And so I took that paper and published it on Amazon. So
Yeah.
if you go to Amazon and search for Expert Race Advisor, I believe it's called, with my name, Scott Thompson, you should be able to find it. Pretty cheap read. It's like $5.
But still, like I said, I got a copy of it. I think you autographed it, didn't you?
You bet. Just for you,
So,
Jay.
so if you can't find it on Amazon, you will be able to find it on eBay later. So of all of those names and all those race teams, Chip Ganassi and Rick Hendrick, who was probably your toughest to work with?
Oh, those guys were all pretty good. Probably Penske, not because of the people, because of one driver by the name of Paul Tracy kept crashing cars. And so I was working with this guy by the name of Clive Howell, and Clive says, Scott, I'd love to work with you, get this one project done, but Paul kept crashing out of the car. I think he crashed 6 cars that year. So
Yeah.
those guys were pretty busy.
Who, just to give a shout out to, why can't I remember his name? He was the guy who sponsored us at the Kansas race.
Oh,
Was the team
yeah, John Anderson.
John Anderson. What a great guy. He was the team owner for all 4 cars, wasn't he? Or the
He was the team manager for Andretti Green
Yeah.
Motorsports at the time. And John was like head of, or the VP of the sanctioning body, and just great engineer from Australia.
He was a great guy. He really
Yeah.
was. So where do you see AI going, Scott?
I see it being a tool that we all should use in day-to-day jobs. It's not going to be taking over the world, but it's going to make a very big impact, and it needs a lot of good engineering and needs a lot of attention to making sure that the outputs that come from it work properly.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of crazy stories about, people getting bad advice from AI. Well, we got to make sure that things are maybe well scripted, and the applications that we use it for have guardrails on it, because
Yeah.
otherwise it can do some damage. But, a lot of your good engineering principles that people use in software development, database development, need to be adopted for AI.
What do you say to those who say that AI is only going to be good or give you the best information based on who programs it? Because you hear a lot of that in the political space and all of that AI can be used as well, used incorrectly as a weapon when it comes to politics and some of those things.
Well, it's definitely got those challenges. And, as a responsible society, we need to come up with guidelines that hopefully prevents some of the bad actors from really going rogue on it.
Yeah.
But
Well, I remember.
that is a big chance.
Oh.
But we need to be involved in it.
Well, I remember the Google faux pas where they were publishing AI pictures of, soldiers with the wrong kind of people in there, and they were taking a lot of liberties with famous Americans and all that. Boy, there was a lot of blowback on that. That was for sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
all I
that's
can
one of
say,
those tough ones that's hard to come up with a good answer.
so right now, I'm expecting AI to do great things, because this may or may not be my last podcast. No, I have to say I've learned to really appreciate AI. I ask it lots of questions all the time, and it's, and I hate to say this diminishes its value and all that, but I've now replaced Google with AI.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, I have to.
where,
It's you don't get as
yeah,
many ads. What I see is the natural language processing is far superior than what you get with Google.
yeah.
You know,
I
you get your text, it looks
oh,
correct. You can reformat it. You can it and you just don't get all the junk, all the ads. So as
yeah.
far as how some of these search engines have monetized and become so valuable, we'll see what they have to do to AI to make it that way.
Like there are two instances that been almost anecdotal for me. I remember I was asking ChatGPT a question about something that was popular, and it was in the political space. And I thought the answer that I got back was far too one-sided than the other because I expect AI to go right down the middle. And I started arguing with ChatGPT. How can you say that? Well, you just said this. And finally, I don't know if I declare a moral victory, but I got AI to basically say, yes, that can seem a little bit biased for one side, and I will take that into consideration and all that. Well, then my second story was the gal who was the chairperson of X, worked for Elon Musk, had just quit, had resigned. And I was using Grok on the tool formerly used, known as Twitter. And I said, hey, at the end of it, I said, tell you what, put in a good word for me with Elon as I want to replace your chairperson. And I don't know what ever happened with it. I kept a transcript of it, but I got pre-screened for a job by Grok. And they were asking me all kinds of questions because what had just happened was Grok had said something that had some circa Germany 1941 traits in it. I don't say the N word, the four-letter N word when it comes to Germany and the war and all that. So, circa 1941, and yeah, I said, she had just resigned over that, and I said, hey, I want the job. Asking me, how would you deal with this? How would you deal with this scandal? And I just told I wouldn't worry about it at all. I said it'll be forgotten about in a month. And guess what? It's forgotten about in a month.
So
So
did you get the job
not yet, but
down in Texas, Starbase?
hey, hey, I got PayPal background. They brought me over to finish the PayPal conversion, so I got skills. But Scott, my most memorable moments were, when you and I started out over at Avaya. That
Yeah.
was that was a great opportunity. That was a great facility before they turned it into a shopping center or whatever the hell it is now.
Right.
But yeah, I don't ever hear from Randy Dool much, but for those of you, Randy Dool was Scott and Mai's boss. I was on the IBM side, Scott was on the Avaya side, and we were constantly scheming to take Avaya over.
And Jay had a big moose on his wall.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But then if you want to know about um, the moose's name was Lou. I worked for IBM, and Lou Gerstner was the president at the time. So the moose was the best listener I've ever met. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Scott, anything else you want to throw out there?
No, I say I look forward to talking to others about their experiences with AI, how they're working with it, anything that we can do to potentially help them be more effective. Because it is another tool. You can't expect good results out of it if you don't put the proper effort in.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Scott, I consider you a subject matter expert in the field, and I will always rely on you. And I hope people get the message that, there's guys like you out there that they can rely on. And I appreciate you taking the time. One final word. The Omaha CIO Forum My Rolodex podcasts are presented to you by Midwest Cloud Computing, one of Omaha's leading MSPs. If you've got a problem, we got a solution. Absolutely. And it's probably cheaper than the other guys. Give us a call at 402-702-5000, and we will talk to you again. Scott, thank you, and thank you to my listeners.
Okay, thanks. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.